In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the Drawable folder that's included by default with our Android applications that we create in Android Studio. So, where exactly can that Drawable folder be found? Well, it's right under this RES folder, which stands for Resources. It's the first folder down. So, what exactly is the Drawable folder, and why is it important to us? Well, our Drawable folder is essentially a directory for objects that draw to the screen in Android. So some objects that you might be familiar with are things like images, right? Those draw to the screen, right? So anything that is considered drawable, things like images, or we have, a special XML file called a shape, things like that, those things go in the Drawable folder. And then later on, when we want to actually use those, we go to our code and we just say, hey, give me that image that's in the Drawable folder that's named this. And Android will go ahead and link it for you. Great, so let me give you another example. So let's say you're creating, an application, you have a button for that application, you want to create a custom look for that button. You might draft something up in Photoshop, and then you will throw that image in your Drawable folder, and then you can point that particular, or rather you can add that image as your background for that button. Right? Great. So that's what the Drawable folder is in a nutshell. It just contains all of our drawables, most commonly images. But before we end this video, I wanted to show you a few other forms that our Drawable folder could take on. And that is, let me click on project here. So you'll see that when I switch to this project view, I have the Drawable folder here. But oftentimes, what we're going to see is, for our Drawable folder, we're going to see something like this. Drawable-LDPI, we're going to see Drawable/MDPI, so on and so forth. And the reason that is because when we do all these different dashes for, there's LDPI, MDPI, HDPI, all these things, essentially that allows Android to very easily put the correct image resolution, or the correct image with the correct resolution for whatever device is being used. So let's say we have that button image, right? And on a smaller screen, we don't want to load a very high resolution image, maybe we want a lower one. So we would put that same image but lower resolution in this LDPI. And then a higher resolution, we'd put in MDPI. And then essentially Android would just sort of figure out, based on the device, which resolution image it should choose. So hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, we're going to see this in a few different forms. We'll even see, something like Drawable HDPI, which is high definition. So this is high definition, this is low definition, and this is medium definition. So oftentimes we'll see it like this. The MipMap folder has a very similar architecture. See how we have an icon launcher.png, and then we have an icon launcher. So these are just various resolutions of the same image, and then Android just loads that appropriately. And actually, I might as well clear up that MipMap folder real quick while we're here, because we don't have a video on that. That was kind of added recently. Essentially, the MipMap folder just holds the icon that's going to be used for our application, right? So we used to put this in the Drawable folder. Now I believe they're putting it in the MipMap folder, but it works for a good example for that Drawable folder. All right, guys, hopefully that clears up what the Drawable folder is and you understand how to use it. I will see you in the next video.